No, it's okay. Look, this is your platform.
Alright, what's up, guys? I just literally witnessed the best fight, or if not, probably one of the best comebacks in quite a while in boxing. Well, it wasn't really a comeback, it was more like an ass whooping. But Josh Kelly got stopped in 6 rounds against David Avaneysan. For those of you that don't know, Josh Kelly is a British welterweight. He is, well, just now he just lost, so I will look up BoxRec for you. Obviously he was ranked high, but now this nigga finally got defeated, as I would predict that David Avaneysan would knock him out. And I did not want to make a video on it, but here I am to explain everything of what could have happened. So yeah, let's get right to it. So Josh Kelly is now ranked 37. Originally, he was ranked, I think, well, yeah, he was at 37. So now he's probably going to lose placements. He's probably going to go down to maybe like 45 or 50. But yeah, Josh Kelly, he got defeated by David Avaneysan. This really put him up in the rankings. He's like now number 6 in the world. That's, impressive, because even though that this is for a meaningless European Boxing Union title, if I'm not mistaken, that's like the whole point of this title, is to get you ready for the world rankings. But I don't think it really means anything. It doesn't really make you any better. I mean, credits to David. He's a very damn good fighter. This is like the guy that went the distance with, Lamont Peterson, that did defeat him in impressive fashion for the WBA, welterweight title. Unfortunately, he did not win that fight, and Lamont Peterson was victorious. But now we do see that, he is now back on track, defeating a guy like Josh Kelly, who's a very, very, very good fighter. I will still say that Josh Kelly is still a damn good fighter. The only thing that really brought him down was simply just lack of defense and poor ring IQ. David, he knows how to cut people off in the ring. He's very good. 27-3 and 1. He obviously got knocked out by Egis Kavaliauskas. That was the guy that Terence Crawford knocked out. But then on top of that, he came out of his way to, go for the Carmen, Lajarga fight, which, I mean, this guy is not really that good. He was undefeated at the time. He was, I think, coming out of Spain. Not really that good of a fighter, in my honest opinion. But obviously, like, this guy's fighting a bunch of bums. He's not fighting any good, high-quality, opponents, other than for what he did with David. But either way, David obviously, got that fight, and he beat him twice. And the fight before that, before Josh Kelly, was Jose Del Rio. Don't really understand why he's fighting a bunch of European no-names. Honestly, I think David, with this win, should probably move on and go for bigger names. I think the next person to target in this welterweight division would be a guy like Danny Garcia. That could be a makeable fight. If you beat a guy like Danny Garcia, you'll be on your way to fight Mikey Garcia or Sean Porter. And then when you get to the Terence Crawford and Errol Spence level, then work your way up. But I think a really good fight for now, for him to get to a world title, because Errol Spence and Terence Crawford and Sean Porter most likely are going to retire very soon. I think after all these fights are made, and once once Undisputed is settled at 147, that's when everybody will start to move up, and then there's going to be a lot more space at 147 that people could take. But for the meantime, that David could do is that I personally would like to see him fight maybe a guy like Jamal James. Jamal James could be a very good fight. Even though that Jamal James has the WBA regular, no, he has the interim belt. Sorry, he has the interim belt. But if David wants to be on his way for a world title shot, I think it's better to go the interim route to defeating a guy like, Jamal James, or face a guy like Jesse Vargas. Jesse Vargas is he's still a very dangerous opponent. Fight a guy like maybe Virgil Ortiz, even though he's high risk, low reward. He's gonna fight Maurice Hooker, so Virgil Ortiz, getting a fight with him would be good. But I know Sergey Lipinets, he's gonna fight my boy Jaron Ennis. So honestly, like I think like if I were to predict what the next fight will be for David, I think if he wants to get back up to world title contention, he needs to fight a guy like Jamal James, because Jamal James is going to be a really good fight, and that's going to cause a lot of noise for his name to pop back up, because if he does get a win off of Jamal, he'll be the interim champion, and he'll be on his way to fight Errol Spence. Because either way, I don't think Errol Spence is going to stay at 147 for too much longer, but I do think it's not going to matter if he stays or if he leaves. But I'd say for the meantime, if I'm in David's position, I'm going for the interim and just go straight to Errol Spence, because you getting these wins out of Europe are not going to help you. And a win over Josh Kelly is still a good win. Don't get it twisted. It's good on David's behalf to have a win over him, because Josh Kelly, he was kind of hyped up to be up there. So I think it was good to get the media attention to defeat Josh Kelly in devastating fashion. He stopped him in 6 rounds. Josh Kelly, he basically suffered a lot of blows, and I don't know what happened to the back of his head, but he had blood coming out of the back of his head, and it made the fight extremely disgusting. And good enough that David, he did his thing. He made Josh quit. And obviously, that's how I kind of view most British fighters. I think most of them are mainly quitters. They don't really have too much of a, skill level to fight intelligent. And a lot of them just, they don't have that heart in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing, good about British boxing that makes me stand out to say, oh, wow, this guy is that good, because look at what he or she is doing with their skills and how they're implementing their punches and how they're using great defense, using great footwork, and using great ring IQ. No, they don't do any of that. And a lot of British people, they don't convert to a lot of styles. They just think that, the art of boxing is just come forward and just whoever hits each other, hits each other. And that's what a lot of them fail to do. A lot of them fail to be, how should I say, versatile in making those adjustments to win the fight. So I think for this win for David, it's a good win, but I think you need more wins under your belt coming to the U.S., because the U.S. is where it's at when you want to come to the big boy stage and fight people at the world rankings. Don't be fighting these bums out of Europe. Don't be fighting like C-level, B-level fighters. Fight S-level competition. Fight the A-level fighters. And I think the very first step for David is to go after a guy like Jamal James. Because I swear, if he gets a win off of Jamal James, it's going to make him look good, and it's going to put the boxing world on notice about him. I'm not saying David's going to be the next great thing. I think he's definitely on the path of losing his spot. But if you want to keep your spot at 147, you need to get like an interim championship, like a WBA interim championship against Jamal James. Or if you want to go up to the big boy stage, I'd say face Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia would be a really good fight for, David. I don't think stylistically David and Danny would kind of favor each other, because Danny, he's a very defensive fighter. Danny knows how to fight. The problem is that when Danny fights, he doesn't let his hands go in, attractions of where he fights a guy with athletic ability. But the good thing about David is that he's flat-footed just like Danny. And sadly, if Danny Garcia, if he tries to trade with like a guy like David, I think David could hurt Danny, but I really doubt it. I think Danny is going to smack this guy. but I think a fight with Danny Garcia would definitely get you up there. Because if Danny loses to a guy like David, that's just gonna downgrade his career, and I don't see that helping. I think David needs to go the route of doing his thing. Probably go after a WBA, interim championship with, Jamal James, because I think that is your best route of going after a title. But if it's possible to go for the IBF interim belt, which I'm pretty sure that's possible to do, go for that too, because you'll be next in line to face Errol Spence. So, I don't know, man. There's just so many questions to be answered for the 147-pound division, because you have to think about it. Jaron Ennis, he's coming. He's coming up in these rankings. He's making things come up really quick. And then you got guys like Rashidi Speedy Ellis, who should be having a title fight, and, he's being shunned out by the media so much, as if he's not important. But you have him. You have, Amanta Stanionis. I'm seeing other fighters like Michael McKinson. He's ranked 25 out of BoxRec. He's a British fighter. I don't think he's gonna last long. Conor Benn. People were saying that David should fight Conor, because Conor was looking at David versus Josh, and good enough that David knocked out Josh, because if Conor wants that smoke, he could come up, beat David, and guess what? Conor, when he's the king of the ring, he could say, yo, let me go after Jamal James, Abel Ramos, Josecito Lopez, any of these B to A plus fighter, or B minus to A minus fighters, or above grade level, skill level, to get up to that, criteria. Because I think at this point, it's really all about who's gonna fight who to make it happen. Because Conor Benn, if he doesn't fight, a guy like, let's just say, Amanta Stanionis, I think that's a very good fight for Conor. But if David fights Jamal, David will be higher above Conor, and Conor would need to fight a guy like a Abel Ramos, or somebody on the level of maybe, I don't know, Kudratio Abudakarov. I mean, he's available. Or actually, no, he's going to fight that Puerto Rican guy. Yeah. Kudratio is going to fight Javier Flores, which Javier, he's really not that big of a name. He's 15 wins, 13 by knockout, very heavy-fisted puncher, but 2 losses. He hasn't been knocked out, but I think either way, I think if Kudratio, if he were to get past Javier, it will definitely open up the door for a guy like David or Conor to probably go after him, because Kudratio is Errol Spence's mandatory for the IBF. But for some odd reason, I don't know what's going on, but I think Kudratio said he wasn't able to fight him. So right now it's kind of looking pretty shaky to say that if he lost his spot, or honestly, we could just go to the IBF rankings right now. IBF welterweight rankings. Yeah, that'll show us if he's still Errol Spence's mandatory. But let's go to Box.live. That's a decent website. Right here, we got at 147. All right, right here, Errol Spence Jr. He is the champion for the IBF. Yes, Kudratio is number 1, and behind him is Sean Porter, and 3, 4, and 5 is Sergey Limpinets, Custillo Clayton, Kieta Obara, decent fighter. David Avaneysan, or Avaneysan. So David could go after Kudratio. If he beats Kudratio, he could definitely move up in the IBF rankings, if not probably become the world title eliminator. So either way, you got a lot of competition. You got Maurice Hooker that just moved up, that's going to fight Virgil Ortiz. Very difficult fight. You have, Danier Yela Lusanov, he's that guy from Kazakhstan. He's ranked number 9 in the world, where he's ranked number 9 by the IBF. Josh Kelly unfortunately lost, so he'll probably get pulled down a few more ranks in the IBF. But if Josh Kelly were to win, I guarantee you he definitely would be up by maybe 4 placements or higher. Alexis Roca lost to Mr. Rashidi Speedy Ellis, who is at number 11 for the IBF, welterweight, rankings. So honestly, David has a lot of options, but the problem is that who's gonna fight who? Because if Conor Benn goes after David, I don't think that's a good fight. I think honestly Conor needs to just go after a belt or fight a high-ranking opponent that will uplift you for the top 10s or the top 15s. Because if Conor goes after David, the problem with this is that, one, what if you lose? And two, how is that fight going to uplift you for a world title? Conor is 24 years old. He has a lot of time. David is 32 years old. So, honestly, I don't think David is going to last that long in the game. But I think if David wants to keep it going in boxing, I think it's better to have him fight someone of higher caliber in the top 10 or the top 15 to keep himself relevant at 147. Because if you're going to fight Conor, how does that help you? Like, I understand, it's BoxRec, everything is very biased with rankings, but in the sense of boxing rankings, how does Conor Benn uplift you for a world title? Because that's what everybody wants. So I think that what David should do is to go after Jamal James, beat the living crap out of him if you can. I don't think that's going to be a very easy commitment to do, but what he did to Josh Kelly could be done to Jamal James. Jamal James, he's a very good fighter, but sometimes when pressure gets to him, he doesn't he doesn't let his hands go, and he kind of makes himself look very sustainable to damage, and he doesn't he doesn't like to deal with like an awkward style. I don't know how to really explain it, but Jamal James, if he were to go up against a guy like David, that would be a very damn good fight. But if Jamal's not going to do that, I probably say go after Danny Garcia or Jesse Vargas. Those are my 2 good picks. Or Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, if you can knock off Mikey... Yeah, if you can knock off Mikey Garcia, because David, he's taller than Mikey, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's like 5'8". Yeah. Yeah, this nigga's 5'8". He has a 68.5 arm reach. And I think Mikey has like a 70. Yeah, actually, Mikey, he has like a 68... 68 on the dot arm reach. So David has like an inch and a half, or he has like a half an inch, reach advantage over him. So, yeah, I think that's I think that should be the next move. If he can't get a Jamal James fight, he should just go after Danny Garcia, Jesse Vargas, Mikey Garcia, and that should be it. I guess to finalize this, what's up the thing for Josh Kelly? Where should Josh Kelly go from here? I say go back to the drawing board. A loss is a loss. All the greats have lost in boxing. I don't understand why people think like losing in boxing is such a religiously bad thing, but it's not. Everybody loses in boxing and everyone learns from their mistakes. I was 27-3 back in wrestling in high school at the JV level, but guess what? I came back and I did what I had to do. But I think for boxing, everybody treats it like it's like a gladiator sport, which it is, but people treat it like as if boxing, needs to be about Floyd Mayweather, where everyone needs to have an undefeated record, because that's what sells fights. People think that if you're undefeated, someone's undefeated, then someone's gotta go. But in order for you to get up there, you have to like fight at a high level to make yourself known. So the only way for you to do that is to become undefeated, because everybody will look at you like, oh, this guy, he can't be beat. He's like, he's too good. He's such a damn good fighter. Well, there's plenty of good fighters that were good that still had a win-loss draw record. So, Tommy the Hitman Hearns, he lost plenty of times, but guess what? He came back and he beat the living crap out of everybody. So Tommy Hearns is not a bum. He's still one of the greatest fighters of all time. Plus, he's a Hall of Famer. So when you're a Hall of Famer, to me, that's a ring. You brought yourself to the Hall of Fame. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. If you did your thing, you said, hey, give me the best, I'll fight the best. You went out there, you beat the living crap out of everyone, then good. Good, you did everything right. You don't have anything else left to prove. Because as much as the game treats yeah, but the old saying is for boxing is that you can love the game as much as you want, but the game don't love you back. And that's how boxing treats you. The NBA can treat you good, but if you're not playing good, then the NBA is not going to love you back. You have to show yourself why you're here. And as much as you try to bring yourself to that high level, you still need to come with a 110% effort to try to give it your best. And hey, if you win, good, it's going to uplift you. But if you lose, then screw it, you fucking lose. But if you lose in such a very embarrassing fashion where you didn't give it your best effort, you're not going to last long. But especially for a sport like boxing where the financial support, of the sport is so messed up, where you barely get any proper income for you to get by after, let's just say getting knocked out by some, unknown person that you don't know, and then come to find out, this guy could have cheated against you, or you probably suffered some crazy injury after the fight. It's like, where's the financial support if you do get hurt? Because that's what boxing needs. Boxing needs to have that. It needs to have a competitive market, innovated market structure to have the financial support resources there for every fighter when they get into a fight. Because you should always be covered for insurances when you get into the ring. Nobody doesn't understand that because they never taken a punch from someone in the ring for X amount of rounds. But versus the NBA or the NFL or the NHL or the MLB, they're all covered because why? They're full-time employees. I'm not going to call them contractors, and I don't call boxers contractors. Some people are disrespectful to say that, but look, I understand contracts are consensual and people get into the discussions of who gets who or what gets what taken out of their pay, blah blah blah. But let me tell you something. If I take a good job and it's good in pay, but the management sucks and they're not going to give me a good uplifting career and I have to go through all the crappy people to stay there, then I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to go for a better company that offers me still the same amount of money for maybe higher wage incentives over time, and I'm going to make sure that I'm covered for everything, health, dental, vision, everything. That's how every job should be, if the state wasn't in the way. But when it comes to boxing doesn't have that. Boxing is a corrupted white market failure of destructive people in the business of destroying fighters' lives. Bob Arum has destroyed a lot of fighters' lives. Bob Arum of Top Rank Promotions, that's being covered by ESPN to put you on the screen on TV, is not helping you. And actually, Top Rank is actually on right now. I have to see that. But to finalize this is that boxing needs to be set up like an actual sports organization. Because if there was no crazy amount of, market regulations done by federal and local arbiters of the state, boxing would be a lot better. I'm just keeping it real. Boxing would be a lot better. But the problem is that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. They just think that the sport is just a sport, and people don't want to think that people have lives after the sport, and I think that's what needs to be done. I credit Danny Garcia for actually investing into a business to help fighters get financial support after boxing is over. So after you finish your career, Danny Garcia, correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody in the chat that wants to say it, but I believe Danny Garcia has invested into a business that will compensate. Yeah, that will compensate for boxers, financial issues or struggles, after they finish up their careers. So, I mean, that's really the only thing I have to say about that. But to finalize about David Avaneysan and Josh Kelly, I think it's going to be a really good fight. Or I think it's going to be a really good win on David's resume. But as for Josh, he'll come back. I think he just needs to work on defense, and he needs to be more educated with his shots, because he really showed why he's not the best 147 pounder to be taken seriously as a top contender, because this should have been Josh's win. It should have never been David's win, but I predicted that David would knock out Josh, and I should have made a video about that. But sadly, I'm sorry that I did not do any of that. I should have done something about that, and I'll promise next time that I'll make sure that I have a prediction video. And same thing with Burchett and Valdez. I think Burchett's going to win over Valdez. It's going to be an action-packed fight, but either way, it's going to be war. So either way, that's how that's my thoughts. I really do enjoy you guys stopping by if you did, and I'll catch you guys around. Let me know what you guys think about the Josh Kelly versus David Avaneysan fight. I think it was a very good fight, and David, he's definitely up there. It's gonna make him be a lot more well known at 147, and if he can get a good fight with a guy like Jamal James, like I said, or any other top welterweight contender, he's on his way back to world title, talks. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll probably be back on live pretty soon to talk about the Ryan Garcia situation. All right, thank you. Goodbye.